I am someone who has learned to radically accept myself and is still learning to do that. Like, I think there's always more growth. So I can acknowledge how far I've come in like loving myself, accepting myself, feeling proud of myself. That's something I incorporate as like proud of myself for going after this new opportunity. I was thinking the other day, like, who do you like the most that you can spend a bunch of days with and not get sick of them? The answer is me. And this is coming from someone who didn't like to be alone before. Like, I need a buddy to go to the grocery store. I need a buddy to go on a hike. If you can't hike, I'm not going to go because I don't want to go by myself. So, this is a big shift for me. So, I would say I'm someone who's like confident, getting more and more confident every day, and continuing to grow and expand my own capacity for what I want to create.
You walk into a room and something shifts before you can name it. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, and before the feeling even settles, your mind is already talking you out of it, smoothing it over, calling it nothing, and moving you along. Your body knew first, yet you argued it down. My guest today would tell you that signal is worth trusting. Alana Robinson is a semantic life coach certified through the Hendricks Institute. She works with people whose lives look right on paper and sit heavy underneath. The steady paycheck, the relationship that check the boxes, and a quiet pull that says you were built for something the life you're living hasn't touched yet. She won't hand you an answer. She'll walk you back to the part of you that already has one. Here's what the catch about her. She didn't arrive here from rock bottom. She had a life that looked fine, and she reached for more instead of waiting for the world to hand it to her. So if your days look good to the people around you and feel thin when you're alone with them, this conversation found you on purpose. Why the body tells the truth your mind keeps dodging, what it costs to keep choosing what other people approve of, and what happens when you stop building a life around someone else's opinion of what yours should look like. Come sit in this one with us. Smile wide while you still got teeth.
Okay.
I still got teeth. All right. Well, Alana, so it's a pleasure having you today. It's been a long time coming. We've been friends for a while. I don't know why it takes so long to hit the brother up, but today's conversation is about alignment, visibility, and why being fully yourself can feel harder than it sounds. You might be the one who stay quiet to keep the peace. You might be the one who plays a role so well that people lost sight of who you are underneath it. You might be the one who became a version of yourself that others are more comfortable with, and you can't say when the shift happened. You might be the one who is worn out of pretending, the one who feels the gap between who you are inside and who you let people see, the one who learned somewhere along the way that certain parts of you were safer kept hidden. If any of that sound like you, this conversation is for you. We're talking about how we learn to shape shift, to feel safe, what it costs to keep performing, and what it takes to come back to your real self. And today on the podcast, I have a longtime friend. I think we met
I think
winter of
2021
23,
or maybe
2023.
2022, 2023. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's 2023 because I got injured that
Oh,
same
yeah.
weekend that we was up there for that hoorah.
Yes.
I got injured that weekend, so it's 2023. I think that's 2023. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a while. So
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to go in this conversation with you.
I know I got some surprise for you.
Oh, I figured you
Oh,
would.
I know you don't like surprise. I know you don't like surprise. But for the folks that's listening, okay, so our conversation theme is gonna be around alignment and visibility. Let me anchor this for a bit. And we focus on what others want us to be. Then we forget who we really are, and life feels empty. If that feels like you, yes, let's step into this conversation. And we're gonna start where your hidden parts of yourself to keep you hide parts of yourself to keep the peace, avoid judgment, and then you lose touch with your true self. You're exhausted trying to pretend you're someone else. So, Alana, my first question for you before we start, and I had this on my list as far as like at the end of the podcast, I will have asked my guests a couple of these 5 questions. But the last question, at least I want to open with, because I thought I'm interested about this, because I haven't asked you this question. So, you're Mount Rushmore, right? Like three to five people who shaped your life the most, and they cannot be your family members. If you had to share with us
Mm.
who those people are.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's tough because my family members are definitely a big part of that. So they would be my 3, but if I can't say them, I would
Mm-hmm.
say I would say first my life coach, Tamra, who I started
Mm-hmm.
working with her probably in 2021 or the end of 2020, and I've been working with her ever since, and she really helped me through this transformational time in my life, and she helped me get a lot of these shifts in motion. So I would say my life coach, 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then the people she introduced me to, like, their work is the Hendricks, Gay and Katie Hendricks. They're a
Mm-hmm.
couple, and they have an institute where they train coaches, they provide resources on restoring your own resourcefulness and getting back into your body. So, I would say the 2 of them, I started out with some of the books they read some of the books they wrote,
Mm-hmm.
and from there, I was like, "Wow, this work is just so powerful, and it's really helping me." I'll give an example. There's a book that Gay co-wrote called The 8 Secrets of Conscious Luck, something like that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I was listening to it on audiobook as I was driving around LA when I first moved here, and I don't know, it was like listening to that book, it shifted my mindset, and it really opened me up to more luck, like, good things just kept happening, and
Luck.
I had such a successful move to LA, I think people were like, "Oh, it's really hard to move to LA." But I met my closest group of friends within 2 weeks of living there, like, just so randomly. And I think a lot of it was, like, I was just getting all of this information, listening to this book about creating your own luck and showing up in a certain way so that you can attract more positive things into your life. And, yeah, I really saw that firsthand. So those would be Gay and Katie would be the other 2, because then I also ended up getting my coach certification through the Hendricks Institute. So I've had a lot more interaction with the 2 of them, and I got to actually meet them and work with them. So they would definitely be big proponents. And then I'll add one more. When I was in college, I did this like study research experience for undergraduates program. We like spent the summer in Atlanta, Georgia, and one of my professors, is kind of like a mentor professor guiding the research project. Just the way she showed up in her life and for this group. It was mostly women in our group, so it was kind of like the way she showed up for us as a group of women and really, like, kind of the first powerful, like, boss lady that I had, experienced or not like a mentor, because I think I had had a lot of male bosses, and I was more comfortable with male bosses and male supervisors and male, professors. So this was the first, like, female teacher that I really related to and really respected and felt, like, comfortable around, and she, kind of showed me what's possible, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting. You find a way to find your Mount Rushmore of influencers in your life without being them family, and that's a lot. That's hard for other people, by the way. Who are those people? I'm not sure who
Yeah,
to
you
pick.
really have
Right?
to
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about the body. I wrote this thing down this morning because I was listening to another book, and I'm actually this. It says the mind can live in fantasy, but the body lives in reality. When you hear those words, what comes to mind for you?
The mind can live in fantasy, but the body lives in reality. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is like that experience I think a lot of us have had when we walk into a room and our body is like, like we feel this drop. We feel this tightness in our chest. We feel our stomachs drop, something like that. And the vibe is off. our mind can easily like talk our bodies out of that, and say, oh, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. You're overreacting, and the mind can create this whole fantasy. And the body is like, no, we sense danger. And now we are in fight or flight response.
Have you experienced that personally in the recent years or months?
I mean, I think definitely. But the cool addition to that is while the mind, can be in fantasy, our thoughts are really powerful. So
Mm.
if we are thinking like, really positive thoughts, thoughts of what we want to create versus what we want to avoid.
Thoughts of luck?
Exactly. 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 Okay. Yeah. You can create like more powerfully from your mind. So,
Mhm.
right, like your mind can recognize, okay, I walked into this room and my body is feeling threatened. I'm looking around. There actually is no real threat. The threat might be like my boss is here, and I'm nervous.
Mm,
So then you
mm.
can actually use your mind to come back to the reality that you want, which is like not stressed, confident. And we bring the somatic body work into it to like process the emotion through your body. We can't just ignore the fact that we're in a fight or flight response. We still want to move out of that.
I like that. I like that. All right, let me jump on my list of thoughts I prepared to ask you because I want to get your feedback and your response to these. But it says, let me move my screen over here. First one, it says, say what you really want instead of always going along with what works for everyone else. And the flip side of it is, if you keep adjusting to other people, you can lose touch with what you want. What story comes to mind for you when you hear those thoughts?
All okay, here's a story. In When I lived in Vail,
Mhm,
Colorado, I think I got really good at pretending to be like this certain way,
mhm,
and I knew how people would want me to show up. And so I really tried to like be that way.
mm,
So like I just read back in one of my journal reflections, I think from like 2022, of realizing that I was just surface acting. Like I would
mm.
go to work and be like, okay, I am the Alana who works at Lululemon and is totally like just a different person, I think. Let me try and put this into words. It's like,
How did it feel for you?
I think I didn't even notice I was doing it. I didn't even notice that I was like answering questions in a different way. Okay. I remember I would watch. Like I was always very quiet when I would start to be in a new situation and then I could open up. And that was because I was like, let me watch and see what's happening. Let me learn how people are operating here. And then I can duplicate that,
Mm.
So once I learned what's going on, I could more easily feel like, okay, now I can share and voice my opinions, but they were still like my monitored opinions.
So you feel like you're a chameleon in those period of your life, just blending in,
Perhaps.
shading color?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And I think as like growing up, kind of as a shy kid, I definitely wanted to be a chameleon. I definitely wanted to like blend in. I think a lot of kids have this. It's like, don't look at me. I'm just like everyone else.
But you're not. You're not.
Exactly.
I know you got mixed parents, right? Are you? Do you?
Race wise,
Yeah.
yeah, both my parents are black. And
Oh, but
so,
your parents. Oh, I would have
mhm.
thought you would have been mixed.
See,
Interesting.
I get that a lot.
You get that a lot. Okay, so tell me how that creates the chameleon kind of blended in kind of personality for you then.
Yeah, I would say like the racial identity piece was very confusing when I was a child because,
Mhm.
I have such light skin and, so my parents are like, "Well, we're black." And then everybody else is like, "What?" You know? Especially like back then, like, you know, 25 years ago, I feel like it's different than it was now. So I'm thinking like when I'm
Mhm.
like, 8 or whatever. And people would literally just say, "No, you're not." Like, "No, you're not. You must be Asian." Or like, "No. Are you sure you don't have one Asian grandparent?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." So, that was actually really interesting. It's only later on that I realized those interactions, I think, made it harder to trust myself. Because here's, like,
Mhm.
this really basic identity thing. You're like, "I am a girl. My name is Alana. I am Black." Those are my identity factors. They're just facts. And for someone to be like, "No, no, you're wrong," is like, that's kind of damaging as a child
You
'cause
start
you're like,
questioning it. Am I telling the truth to myself?
exactly, yeah, you're kind of like, "Can I trust what I'm saying?" Subconsciously, of course, like, I
Mhm.
didn't put this together until more recently. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting experience, and I think, as African Americans, it's like there's so much history
Mhm.
of why we're a broad range of colors, of shades,
Mhm.
and, I think on the books, we have, like, one Irish great-grandmother.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's like everyone's Black, but we're still a range of shades, so I think stepping into that identity only came when I was a bit older and could,
Mhm.
like, live in that ambiguous space of, like, people aren't always gonna know, and they're gonna ask you annoying questions, and as a kid, yeah, I definitely wanted to just, like, I didn't want people to ask me that question. I was like, "Don't even look at me.
Mhm.
Don't ask me, like, what I am or who I am, like, let me just live." So I definitely tried to just, like, go under the radar and be
Mm.
a chameleon of sorts.
Here goes another one, Alana.
Okay.
Notice when you're hiding instead of calling it being easygoing. On the flip side, if you hide often enough, it starts to feel normal. Talk
Okay.
to me about those thoughts.
I think I'm gonna give you a story that you'll like. Because when Asher first approached me for this podcast, he sent me this long proposal of, like, the play-by-play from Claude and,
Mhm.
like, the AI, and I was reading it, and I use the AI a lot, so I know its language. I know the,
Mhm.
like, little AI isms that it says, and I was, "Oh, man, this is just too much AI." I was having a body reaction, like, I read that and
Yeah.
I was just like,
Mhm.
I felt this, like, sinking feeling and kind of constrained, and I was like, "I just wanna bang my head on the table, like, I just don't wanna hear Claude talk to me." So and I think in the past, I would have just been like, "Uh," not said anything to you and would have just gone ahead and done the
Mm.
podcast. We probably wouldn't have had as good of an episode, and I would be, like, hiding. I think when you try and hide, this is something that I learned through the coaching training. When you try and hide something like a truth or a
Mhm.
opinion or feeling, you end up in this cycle of withhold, withdraw, project. So you're withholding a truth and then you start withdrawing from the person. So I might start dodging. You might be like, sorry, not sure. I can then actually do the podcast today, because I want to avoid it. So there's
Mhm.
the withhold, the withdraw, and then project. And then I start making up things about you and about the
Mhm.
situation. I'm like, oh my gosh, Asher just uses AI so much. He's, whatever kind of judgment around that and start making it into this whole thing like, I don't even want to do this podcast anyway, you know? And so you go into that whole cycle. So
Mhm.
that is, I think, a common thing that happens when you hide. But I had the thought in the moment of like, okay, it would be easier in the moment to just be like, all right, whatever, this is annoying. But instead, I was like, no, we're going to share our real feelings. And I sent you a voice note. And, then we got to have an open, honest conversation about it. And now I don't have to,
Mhm.
pretend. I can just show up authentically and fully.
That is powerful, by the way. I am glad you're enjoying the podcast. Before we continue, I have a gift for you. Since 2016, I have read and listened to over 900 books so far. It's going to be 1,000. And I organized them into a library and I handpicked the top 100 books I recommend to my clients, my friends, and the people in my community. Books on storytelling, language, and personal growth, and building something from your own life. If you're watching this podcast and you're looking for your next great read, this library is your gift. It is free. Go to asheralbertwright.com and check out the 1000 book challenge. This is my gift to you. Now back to the conversation. And here's a thing. A lot of people respect that.
Yes, I found that. The more I do it, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I'm so glad I said the thing." Like, it's actually better now, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But so a lot of us we assume if we state the fact, tell the truth, or tell people how we feel, they would feel like they might like, oh no, people want to have relationship, they want to have collaboration, they want to have partnership, want to have conversation, they want to know what you think and how you feel. And when you hide, they don't know. This is it's
Exactly.
just my thing. I'm like, well, it's supposed to be our thing, right? So
Yeah.
I read this quote. It says, "Your path is not to follow my path.
Oh,
Your
your
path
path
is
is not to
to
follow my
follow
path.
my path." So if you
Interesting.
show up with your thing, then I get to have my thing, and then we all come together and create our thing. It's like the battery spark, like my negative, your positive sparks an idea, electricity, my friend. So we
Mhm,
need that.
mhm.
So thank you for stepping in and saying, "Hey, I got other ideas here. Let me talk about this one." I appreciate that.
Yes, and thank you for adjusting and being open to the feedback.
Yes, that's what life is all about. I got
Exactly.
one more for you. I got one more for you. Here's the other one. Okay, trust feelings instead of pushing them aside to keep things smooth. On the flip side, if you keep ignoring what you feel, you stop trusting yourself. I like this one too.
Ah, yes. I think let's start with that flip side of, like, keep ignoring what you feel and you'll stop trusting yourself.
Hmm.
I think what I've learned through my coach training with the Hendricks Institute is our bodies are really powerful signals for us, right? Like we learn when we're hungry, when we have to go to the bathroom, when we're tired, we learn those body signals, but we don't learn the other ones. Start honoring the and listening to and acknowledging the other body sensations is like how we start to trust those. I think if I feel my throat like tighten and sometimes it feels like there's a frog in my throat or kind of like throw up sensation
Mm,
and I could ignore that and kind of push it down and be like, "No, it's nothing." Like, but then it just stays there versus if I acknowledge it, I was able to sit with it long enough that now I know, okay, when I have this feeling in my throat, it's actually an identifier for me. It tells me like, "Hey, there's something you're not saying, there's something you're not being honest about." That's what it means for me. So, the more we can learn what our body signals are telling us, we can kind of use that internal guidance system and trust our own decision making.
mm. I'm curious. Specifically, maybe it happens often. Where does your anxiety shows up oftentimes when you know you're anxious about something? Where does it show up? Where you normally feel in your body for you?
Mm. I would say a lot of it ends up in my throat because what I'm usually anxious about is like not being like having to have a difficult conversation and not wanting to. In terms of like mapping emotions to the body, fear usually shows up like in the stomach. And I think what's interesting is this is kind of along the lines of like when we keep ignoring, we stop learning how to listen or trusting ourselves. I forgot exactly what it was. But we lose track of what emotions are where. So we'll just say, "Oh, we're really anxious." But
Mhm.
actually, if I feel my shoulders tighten and tense and my jaw tensed or tightened, like that's a sign of anger. And so,
Mm,
I think before I learned that, I didn't always recognize that. I would just say, "I'm anxious." But really, like if I listen to my body and it's all in my shoulders and my jaw, I'm angry. And that's
mm,
important distinction because then you know what the emotion is and you can address it, right? If you're just trying to address anxiety, but in reality you have anger underneath that, then you're not resolving the anger situation.
Well, maybe this is my read on my own body.
Okay, yeah, I'd like.
When I get anxious, I feel it in my legs.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yes, my legs start either like they start moving without me notice I'm moving my legs,
Uh-huh.
and that tells me I should go for a walk.
Okay, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I need to go. I need to step away from what I'm doing. I need to go for a walk to get some to get some perspective because I could do very long walks most days just to think and process stuff
Mhm.
because I'm always trying to crack a code on something I'm thinking about. But I noticed that, and it only happens I would say after I left the army. That's when I started notice where my anxiety shows up. Because before that, I didn't really pay attention to. I just know I'm always in this crazy, busy life, right? But now that I have a lot of time, I can tell when like when I'm feeling that, it shows up in my legs.
And does it show up anywhere else as well? Or, like, what's the sensation that you feel in your legs?
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
yeah, I feel a little tingling and I feel my legs start to when somebody like the legs start doing that, like I notice
Oh,
my legs
uh-huh.
start doing that, and I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
can't stop it. So I gotta I need to go for a walk because something is really
Mm.
going on here.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so kind of like this, like, restless energy, it sounds like?
Yes.
Yeah, I would
Hmm.
be curious if you, like, kind of tuned in next time you feel
Hmm.
anxious and notice if you feel any subtler sensations. Because this,
Hmm.
like, leg moving one is obviously very present and it'll call your attention, it's very loud, but
Hmm.
are there any subtler sensations elsewhere? Like, I would
Hmm.
kind of scan your body from top to bottom, and I would just be curious to see, like, what else is going on here? What other sensations might my body be feeling?
Mm. It's interesting. No, I mean, I start paying attention to because I do have this. I have a lot of tension in my shoulders too.
Mhm.
Because I mean, maybe my posture probably, but I do a lot of brain work. So even time when I talk to my therapist, sometimes like my mind is chaos, meaning that it has. And put it this way, my brain is very fertile. Meaning that a lot of ideas come to Ash. Ash, I have a lot of ideas, right? Ideas, crazy ideas. There's a lot of ideas. So sometimes I gotta figure out how do I process them at
Uh-huh.
a speed of where I'm thinking them, and how do I get them out of my system. That's the reason why I love AI because now I can talk my ideas into whatever Claude, my favorite AI is Claude, right? So now I can let it out without sitting here with it and trying to objectify it in my own mind. It's very difficult. So when I put it out and I can see it, then I could turn off these other places that it keeps irritate me in myself, like my shoulder, my neck, all those places, right? That I feel so yeah. But
Mm.
the jaw piece,
So
yeah, it's mostly shoulders. Yeah.
yeah, and the shoulders, like, once you word vomit to AI, do your
Hmm.
shoulders kind of relax? Do you feel better? Like,
Yes. I feel better because now I can analyze the data that was in my head that I could organize now. So it helps a lot.
oh,
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
that's great, like, noticing, and maybe there's some anger around having so much in your head and, like, not knowing what to do with it.
Yeah. Could be because sometimes these problems are so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get you get you tense up. Mm, okay. You ready to get to another one?
Yeah, let's go to another
Okay.
one.
All right. Here's the other one. Number 4 here on the list. Listen to your body when something feels off instead of talking yourself out of it. On the flip side, if you override your gut too often, you stop hearing its warning. We were just there.
Yeah,
What
I
story
think this
pops to
one's
mind for you?
similar. When I lived in Colorado, I was constantly pushing my feelings down and my emotions down and not acknowledging them. And I was sick a lot. And I was like,
Mm,
had a lot of just like pains, it'd be like, oh, my stomach, my leg, my shoulders, my back, like everything. It was like if once I healed from one thing, it was another thing. And they weren't
mm,
massive. It wasn't like, oh, I have to go to the hospital. It was just kind of like kind of an annoyance,
mhm,
right? And looking back, like I haven't really been sick since I got COVID, long COVID. And then, I started amplifying this work with my body and listening to my emotions and doing things about them. like honoring them, processing them, moving them through my body. And I have like really not been sick. I've been
Mm.
sick like one time, and that's a whole different story. But I think there was like, what if we look at that as signals? Like my body was trying to tell me something and I just was not listening. And so it just continued to show up in physical ways.
It is very interesting here that your thoughts can make you sick
I think sometimes
because
sometimes they're real viruses, but sometimes it can just be your thoughts and your body trying to warn you about something or
yes.
tell you something.
Yeah, because we do have unhealthy thinking, unhealthy thoughts that shows up, and it just because it makes you feel something like, for example, if you keep thinking about somebody that for some reason just drive you crazy, right? And most of the day you're sitting around being bitter about that person, just disliking that person, just replaying all of the bad things they done to you or they said to you. And for some reason your body's like, I am tired of processing that poison. Can we stop thinking about that? Can we start? Can either we go talk to the person, express it, do something, get it out, but don't internalize it because it's like it's the internal explosion and your body start getting sick. And I've
Mhm.
experienced that myself, where
Yeah,
I
you
was
have a
just
story.
I was yeah, because I've been in a couple relationships, but in one particular relationship, um, this person I won't say the name, but this person just frustrate the hell out of me, and I have to deal with this person for a long period of my life because we have an attachment. And I just every time I think about that person, I'm like, man, like I don't want to hear your voice. I just want to talk to you. But it started to make me feel like weaker on my in my surface. I'm like, I don't want to be able. And I noticed that. I'm like, let me stop processing. Let me don't think about this person because whatever is in my head, I need to get rid of that. So people do that to you, and whatever that reason is, you gotta come to terms with it. But yeah, I've experienced that myself. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I have one specific example. I think it was kind of just all
Hmm.
of the things
Hmm.
happening, ignoring my body signals and just, being a lot sicker and a lot weaker and a
Hmm.
lot more tired. I used to take so many naps. I would take like a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day. Very unproductive, very difficult.
Oh man, your brain is on overload. Okay, let's try another one. I want to see if I got some other thoughts from you here. Okay, here's one. Be honest about what feels true for you instead of being who other people or others are comfortable with. On the flip side, if you keep shaping yourself around other people, you can start to forget who you are. Have that experience happened to you in your past?
Yeah, that's true. It's very similar to the chameleon conversation. I think maybe, it's just anytime someone is like, "Do you wanna do this?" And I
Mhm.
say, "Yeah, sure, but I don't really wanna do it." And I end up in situations that then I'm kind of resentful and bitter about. I'm like, "Oh, why did I go to this thing?" This is a tough one to, like, really think about, because I think
Okay.
conceptually, I'm like, yeah, sometimes I am just agreeable just to, like,
Mm.
be who people are more comfortable with.
Why do you do it?
In the past, I think it's kind of like I'm not confident in myself, I'm not trusting myself, I'm not loving myself to think that, like, I'm enough as I am. Like, maybe one example is just, like, a very simple thing with my identity and my hair, like, wearing my naturally curly hair. I never used to do that, and
Mm.
and then even when I did, I started to feel a little bit more comfortable wearing my natural hair, but I still would, like, put it up. If I was going to work or something, I would tie it back in a ponytail or a bun. So, I wasn't straightening it constantly, but I was still not just, like, letting it be, you know, down and out. And I think
What was the fear? What was the fear?
I don't even think I had put, like I don't think I had articulated it. I think it was just kind of this thing of, like, I'm gonna stand out too much. And that was also when I lived in Colorado. So, yeah, I would have stood out. So, um,
Back to visibility and alignment.
back to visibility and alignment. Yeah. And I think so I guess the fear underneath that is like, am I good enough to stand out? If I stand out and people see me, what will they think? Kind of thing.
Mm.
Or like, will I be accepted if I show up differently than everybody else? Maybe that's
Isn't
some of
that
the
what
fear underneath it.
isn't that what you want, to be unique?
Well, I think that's something we say we all want, but do we? Do we want that? I think when we that's it. It's an interesting point. I think we say we wanna be unique, and then you find someone else's life and you're like, "Ooh, but I like what they're doing. I wanna do what they're doing," and then you kinda wanna, like, copy them. Like you said, my path is not your path to follow. But I think until we come into this place of, like, really loving and accepting ourselves, we wanna go to someone else's path, and we don't wanna be unique.
You know, if you going back to the visibility piece here, do you get picked at as a kid growing up? Picked at a lot?
You know, it's funny because I really didn't, and I just was
Mm,
talking to my mom about this the other day because I was very shy, so I only had, like, a couple friends, and I kind of kept to those friends, so that's, like, you know, perfect scenario for getting picked on, but I didn't, and my mom said my 1st grade teacher would tell her, like, "Nobody messes with Alana." I don't know why,
mm,
they just, like, kind of know not to mess with her. And I didn't tell them this, I didn't even know. But yeah, I've never really struggled with people, like, picking on me. I think I've dealt with people to my face being like, "What are you? No, you're not," kind of
mm.
arguing with me in that way, but not this kind of, like, thing that little kids do of, like, picking on you. I never really had that.
Okay, so currently, what would you say Alana is right now? Who would you say Alana is right now?
Currently, who would I say Alana is?
Mhm, mhm.
Well, a life coach. Um, and I am someone who has learned to, like, radically accept myself and is still learning to do that. Like, I think there's
Mm,
always more growth. So I can
mhm,
acknowledge how far I've come in, like, loving myself, accepting myself, feeling proud of myself. That's something I incorporate as like, "Oh, I'm proud of myself for doing this," or "I'm proud of myself for going after this new opportunity." I talk to myself a lot nicer. I was thinking the other day, like, who do you like the most that you can spend like a bunch of days with, and not get sick of them?
mhm,
And I was like, me. The answer is me. And this is coming from someone who didn't like to be alone before. Like, I felt uncomfortable being alone. I was like, I need a buddy. I need a buddy to go to the grocery store. I need a buddy to go on a hike. If you can't hike, I'm not going to go because I don't want to go by myself.
mhm,
So, this is a big shift for me. So, I would say I'm someone who's like confident, getting more and more confident
mhm.
every day, and continuing to like grow and expand my own capacity for what I want to create. And I'm a very lucky person because I read that book.
Okay, let's go external.
Wait, I have to. Oh, wait. Okay. What's
Go ahead,
external?
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to add that I also have a
Mhm,
dog. And so my dog is very much part of my personality. And I
mm,
have like a strong group of friends and family. So I'm definitely someone who values connections and
mm,
relationships and dogs. My
mhm.
dog specifically.
Your dog specifically. Okay, let's go external.
Okay.
So if you had a kid, for example, if you had a kid right now, say
Mhm.
it was a grown kid, maybe it's like whatever age, maybe it's 15 or 16, whatever. We're gonna pick a
Okay.
number. And that kid is lost.
Okay.
For some way the kid ran away and you're gonna get police officers, a couple of your neighbors, a couple of your friends to help you go find the kid. But they don't know what your kid look like. So you gotta describe your kid to them. That means you probably gotta tell a little bit about the characteristic, features, so forth and so on. But no, this kid would be like your ideal client, right? But you're gonna describe that kid to the person so you can help you find it. So then if you had a breakdown to somebody that's listening right now, like, hey, my kid is this person. Help me find my kid. How will you describe your kid?
Are you trying to get me to describe myself?
No, I'm just getting describe your ideal client. Mm-hmm.
I would say right now, I think because I'm about a year and a half into my business, I
Mm-hmm.
still have a broad range of who I work with, and I think that'll probably narrow down naturally as time goes on. But I would say I work with both men and women, usually like Gen Z, millennial, and then a little bit of that generation, like kind of the older millennials, whatever's right above that. You're just eat
Mm-hmm.
over there snacking.
I am. I am. I'm listening. I'm sorry. Pardon me for eating. Sometimes my mouth get a little dry when I talk, so I gotta have my fruits
Okay, okay.
freshly available. Freshly
Freshly
available.
available. Oh, you're funny. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say men or women, and there's not as much of like a look or uh, a specific characteristic about them, but it's really
Mm-hmm.
like where their mind is at and what they want in their life. So I'm looking for someone who is, you know, they're at like the survival level, but they
Mm-hmm.
want more than that. Maybe their life looks good on paper, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling or it doesn't feel that good. Like I was I'll stay focused. Um So, yeah, your life looks good, but maybe it doesn't feel that good. You feel like something's missing. You're feeling stuck. You want to create this bigger life for yourself. You know you can have more. You know you can show up as the person you want to be, but you're just
Mm-hmm.
not doing that. And you're also wanting to make a change. So, wanting to make a change, knowing that you don't have to know what exactly you want, but just knowing you want something different.
So right now, let me ask about your clients. You got current some of your do you have a favorite client that you won't say the person name, but you have a favorite client? You
No,
have a
I love
favorite
all
client?
my clients.
Come on.
No, I do. I really do. I'm
No, I
really
know you
being
love
genuine.
you love all of them, but do you have any of them that you're like, I would like 10 more of these kind of clients because it's all
I
the
would
end of the
honestly
journey.
like 10 more of each of them.
Mm.
I know. They're all
Mm.
wonderful. Um, and, I think there's a theme, and the theme is probably around, like, stepping into their authentic selves and going after the things they want, choosing themselves first instead of
Mhm.
making decisions based on what everyone else is doing or what everyone else thinks they should do. Getting out of like these situations where they feel stuck or just foggy or not clear, and they are ready to create something more intentionally that they can actually feel happy about and excited about and like fulfilled by.
You know, I wrote this down this morning too. Life will
Alright.
charge you a lot for what you don't know, more than what you know. Does that spark anything for you?
Let's have some more context behind the quote. Where was it? Who was it by?
Okay.
Where'd you read it?
Don't worry about who's by. It just came to my mind. I was thinking this morning.
Oh,
But
so it's
the
a
reason
quote
why,
by Asher.
yeah, it's a quote by Asher.
Or is it a quote or is it a quote by Claude?
Oh no, 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 no. That's some of these thoughts. I'm listening. I hear things like, oh, this idea pops in my head. But the
Oh,
reason
okay.
why it pops in my head because I realize that when you're thinking about charging people, right? When you're charging somebody for service, you're really charging them for what they don't know. Because if they know it, they wouldn't be here asking you to do it for them. So I realize that a lot of the price to put on things, we're paying for what we don't know.
Well, here's an interesting shift of perspective on that because I think that they're not paying me to do it for them. That's definitely not the type of coaching that I offer. And
Hmm.
it's not like mentorship or direction of like, okay, do A, B, and C, and then D, E, and F. It's not that. It's very unique to their situation and what they bring to the table. And I'm more guiding them into coming back to their own internal wisdom. So they
Hmm.
do have the answers. They just maybe don't know how to get the answers and connect with their body in a way that allows them to like know themselves. So yeah, it's like coming back to trusting yourself, trusting, yes, I do have the answers. I can figure this out. And I, as the coach, am there to support them in that process, to use the tools to help them get back into their body, to work with the subconscious mind, to see the patterns that are kind of happening beneath the surface that they don't realize, that keep repeating, pointing out the blind spots, asking the questions that make them think about things in a different light. You might be running a script over and over and over again in your head, and you need someone to
Mhm.
ask a specific question to get you kind of like a pattern interrupt to get you out of that script.
This episode is sponsored by Life Changing Wisdom Marketplace, the home for authors who own their stories and their business. Your book, your merch, your audience. One storefront, you keep 80%, you own your customer list. You build a real relationship with the readers. If that sounds like the way you want to run your business, visit lifechangingwisdom.com. Okay, here's my follow-up question. Are you a spiritual person?
I'm becoming more spiritual.
What caused that? Don't say luck.
I wasn't going to. Luck.
Mhm.
No, I'm just kidding. Um, okay. I would say the deep internal work, the meditation and the journaling I've been doing, so like reconnecting
Mhm.
with myself, I feel like has allowed me to connect with my soul. And I don't think I was very connected with that before. People would say soul, and I was like, okay, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
I don't even know what that is. So I think now I'm finally getting this concept of like, oh, we all have a soul, and what that is, like kind of our true selves, our essence, who we really are, our spirit. I think people
Mhm.
use those words kind of interchangeably sometimes. But yeah, I would say getting to know myself more
Mhm.
and doing that like deep reflection through my journaling and my meditation practice.
And sometimes I think people have different causes where they start really tapping into the more spiritual side. But what I've been noticing is like when you go through a really really hard period of your life, like life punch you in the face, and you're like, wait a minute, why my face keep being the punching bag, right? And when life hits you a certain way, then you end up having psychological misalignment. You feel like you're off your axis, and then oftentimes from that place, a lot of people reach for spirituality. They reach for, well, there's got to be more. When I say spiritual, there's got to be more to me that I'm not seeing, that I'm missing, why I keep running into these things, feeling this kind of way, and something that causes them to be more spiritual. Often more spiritual mean that you're more internal about you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that's kind of a very common story for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happened to me. When
Mm-hmm.
I was going through, like, a hard time and I was, like, feeling like, "Oh, life is just bashing me in the head. It's one thing after another," and
Mm-hmm.
I dealt with a lot of, like, mental health, situations, and I did not reach for spirituality then. It was only once I started like healing and was like kind of reaching for more expansion that I came into
Mm-hmm.
spirituality. So I think that's just another way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think both are, however you find it, I think is the right way for you.
What is your favorite thing to do on your off time, by the way? Don't say snowboarding.
Why?
You live in California. You live in
I
California.
know.
You know.
My favorite thing to do on my off time right now is honestly hanging out with my dog outside and my friends. If I can do those three at the same time, it's the best.
That's very simple. A simple life is an awesome life.
Mhm.
Mm. Let's get back to our list. Let me get a few more. I want to get your thoughts on before we get to the wrap up area here.
Okay.
Here's one. Make decisions based on what feels true for you, not just on what other people will approve of you. I like this. The flip side is build your life around other people's expectation, and you may end up successful on the outside and deeply unfulfilled on the inside. Do that trigger anything for you right now? You want to share any stories or not?
I think I hear that a lot. with, like, my clients and people that I
Mhm.
talk to who are considering coaching is, like, maybe their parents want them to go to medical school, and they're like, "This is just not for me, I just know it." I think that's a
Mhm.
common story. For me, there was a point in time, I had bought a condo with my ex at the time, and I mean, sorry, we were together, we were dating. We bought a
Mhm.
condo, and then we were going to renovate it. And I was kind of like, "Okay, I did all these things. I have the job that has the retirement plan, I have a steady paycheck, I have a savings account, I have a partner who I've been with for a while, I have now a home, I purchased something." And I was like, "But I'm still not enjoying things." So I think I kind of was doing the script or the path that people say,
Mhm.
get a partner, get a house, get married, have kids. We just hadn't gotten to those second 2 yet, which is good. Um, but yeah, I was like, "I'm just not enjoying things. I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I know there could be something more." And I started feeling this, like, pull of, like, "Gosh, there's gotta be something more to life." And I started thinking, if I just kind of keep living this way, doing, like, the safe route, I'm gonna start having regrets. Like, I already do have regrets. I just read my old journal entry, so that's why I know this,
Wow.
it was, like,
Wow.
in 2022.
You're a writer. Let's say, are you a reader or a writer? Are you both?
Oh, I read a lot. I think I am somewhat of a writer,
Somewhat of a writer. Okay.
working to be more of a writer.
More to be more of a writer. Okay. I think you're a great writer. I think you're underselling yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, I read the stuff you sent back to me. I was like, "This girl can write. She got ideas."
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another one. Follow what feels aligns for you, not just what keeps other people comfortable. Did you just read that one? No, that wasn't the one.
That one
No,
sounds
no.
familiar. Yeah.
No. Okay. And the flip side of that is if your choice are shaped by other people's opinion, don't be surprised when your life stops feeling like your own.
I think
Give me a story.
okay, yeah, a story came to mind right away. So I lived in Vail for 9 years, as you know. And when I was thinking about moving out of Vail, everyone was like, "What?" Especially when I decided I'm moving to LA, people would say, "Oh, man, why do you have to do that?" And I'm like, "I'm choosing to do that." And they
Mhm.
just thought that was the weirdest thing. And people who live in Vail, it's a beautiful place. It's like a vacation, that's a common thing people say, like, "My life is your vacation." There's a lot of pride in that. And Vail is very beautiful. There's lots of things to do. There's lots of outdoor activities, tons of adventures. And I enjoyed all that, and it wasn't, like, what I needed, or I needed
Mhm.
more than that, I guess I would say. 'Cause I still love all that stuff, but I needed more than that. So if I just listened to other people's opinions, I mean, just, like, to be candid about the race thing, if I listen to other white people's opinions about Vail, they're like, "This is the best place on earth. This is so wonderful. Why would you ever wanna leave here? Like, this is you have everything." If I listened to that, and I did listen to that for a while, it wasn't feeling like my own life. Like, they were really happy, and I was seeing that these, things around us were making them happy, but it wasn't making me happy. So I think I really had to listen to my own gut and my own I had to stop asking people for their opinions and, like, stop
Mhm.
listening to the opinions that were unsolicited. Because once I decided I'm moving to LA, here's why, almost everybody was like, "Ew, why would you do that? Ew, LA sucks." And I was like, "Okay, why are you telling me that?" But LA is actually such a good fit for me, and I never would
Mhm.
have known that if I only listened to, like, these other people and made choices based on what they thought was best.
I'm sensing that you a tropical girl, but been hiding it.
A tropical girl?
Like the tropics. I'm thinking you might like the tropics.
Honestly, yes, yes. My mom's family's Jamaican also, so
Mm. Mm. Well, I'm glad you're in the sunny side of the West Coast, enjoying the shades of the beautiful side of the West
oh, the
Coast.
shade. Oh. Yes, but I did move for the diversity and the warmth and the water and
Mhm.
the different vibe, different pace, more culture.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
more culture, more culture.
yeah.
A sister was missing more culture, I know. Let me ask you this then. You've been in Vail 'cause I'm a lover of Vail, by the way. Vail is
I know.
it's awesome. What was some of your favorite thing that you loved to do there when you was in? Like, tell me about Vail, that experience before you decided to
Mm.
move.
Yeah, so that I mean, because there was a lot of hard parts, but there was also a lot of good parts,
Mhm.
and I did a lot of really cool stuff. I did a lot of stuff that made me be like, "Oh, I'm so cool." Um, like, I would go mountain biking
Mhm,
regularly. I worked at a nonprofit that was supporting getting more girls, especially Latina girls, which is another
mhm,
population in Vail, out on mountain biking to find empowerment through biking,
mm,
and it's called the cycle effect. I'll shout them out. Um,
mhm.
so I mountain biked a lot, and I especially in the fall, you have, like, the golden aspen leaves, it's so beautiful, like, all the trails are beautiful, you have clean Colorado air, like a blue sky, so that's just, like, picturesque. I hiked a lot, I went on, like a thing in Colorado is to hike 14ers, so mountains that are over 14,000 feet, and you just are so high up, you have such a incredible view of the things around you, and just I think being that high up, the combination of the hiking and exerting yourself and being like, "I didn't think I could do it, but I did it, and now I'm at the top, and I'm tired, but I'm happy, and it's beautiful." I think having those experiences was really, really special. I went camping a lot, so, like, lots of nights seeing the stars and shooting stars. I love shooting star. And snowboarding, obviously, which is how we met.
You're pretty
Uh,
nice on the board, by the way, so
Thank you. Yeah, so snowboarding, I mean, I literally lived across the street from the Vail Mountain. So I would just hop on the bus, go to Vail, snowboard for a few hours, and then go to work. And so
Mm,
that's like kind of a cool lifestyle. And I was a snowboard instructor for a time. That was fun. And, I had a bunch of friends who are snowboarders, and we would all like go out and ride together and find the best powder stashes. So those were all really fun things. Oh, and I would take my dog split boarding. So we would like kind of go up the hill with our split board, and then we'd I'd ride down and Skylar would run down after me. That was one of my favorite things to do.
ooh,
Yeah.
split boarding. Mm,
hmm And then the
wow.
last thing is I would go, like, stand-up paddleboarding on the rivers.
Mm,
So, a little bit of whitewater, stand-up paddleboarding, some small rapids, and Skylar would be on the front of my board, and it was just such a fun day in the sun, and just, like, a little bit of thrill, a little bit of adventure. So, yeah, I had a lot more outdoor adventure activities in Colorado. There's, like, always something to do. So it's definitely things I still wanna do, whether that's on vacation or however I can do it. It just doesn't happen as frequently now.
okay, I got a few questions here. First one, how old are you?
33.
33. Would you say you've lived a very, very rich, awesome, beautiful life so far?
I think there was a time where I wouldn't have said that.
Mm,
Now, in these past few years of like being more conscious, doing more internal work, being more present in my life, I'm like, yeah,
mm,
the answer is yes. Like I've lived a rich and beautiful life. I can appreciate things from the past and I'm being more present in each moment, so I'm really, like, savoring all the days.
mm,
Um, but there was definitely a time, I'm not gonna lie, where I was like, I feel like I blinked and 6 years went by,
mm,
and I don't know what happened. And then there was a time where I was like, I feel like a normal person who enjoys things, like, 20% of the time. I'm like, "This 20% of the time, Alana, I like her, but that's
mm.
not very often." So, at that time, no, I did not think I was living a rich and joyful life. but now I have.
What's that mindset shift that caused you to see it the way you see it now?
I think it really comes down to, like, seeing myself as a victim of my circumstances and, like, the world is happening to me
Mm.
versus I can co-create what I want with the world and the people around me, and that I can take more responsibility for the experiences that I have in my life. So if I don't like a situation, I can take responsibility to figure out a way to change it. With
Gotcha.
what's in my control. Obviously, I can't just flip a switch and change the political climate, but focusing on what's in my control, that gives me more peace, I guess, and
Mm.
more choice, more autonomy. It doesn't feel like life is heavy. It feels like I'm flowing. I'm choosing things that feel good to me.
I think that's what a lot of people want, Alana.
And I will say, I did learn all that and gain these skills through coaching. So through my
Mm.
work with Tamara, the Hendricks Institute, and now this is like what I teach and support other people in. So teaching
Mm.
those tools and supporting them in this like process of totally shifting your mindset and experiencing your life in a different way.
I'm going back to Vail.
Okay.
Could you imagine yourself doing a retreat with your amazing clients in Vail?
No.
Hmm. Tell me why.
I'm just gonna be honest.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
I mean, who knows what'll happen in the future, but like you said, I'm a tropical girl, so the first retreat I picture is in a tropical location.
In a tropical location.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah,
Hmm. Tropical versus fall, spring, summer, winter in Vail. You couldn't see it happening.
tropical.
Tropical. Say no more. Tropical it is. Let's go to Jamaica. Let's go to Costa Rica. Let's go
Yep.
to Hawaii. Let's go somewhere. All right, I got you.
Hey,
I got
I
you.
love
I'm
it.
just I'm just I'm
Let's do it,
I'm poking
yeah.
to see. I'm gonna see where your heart's going. Yeah, tropical.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, why tropical? Why you think you're gonna be able to manifest, elevate, whatever you do with your spirit and your energy in the tropical more than the
I think the sun is where I feel, like, the most alive. I love the sun. It
you a
really
solar
fuels me.
woman? You a solar woman? You gotta get charged up?
Maybe. I'm a
Mm,
fire sign. I'm an
mm.
Aries. I don't know if that relates to the sun, but I it makes me feel like just light and warm and like, physically and energetically. And it's what like is calling me right now. I think
Mm.
going back to Vail reminds me of this really stagnant, heavy time in my life. I actually went back to visit and I'm not even kidding. As we were driving the road into Vail, like my chest just, like, sank, and I just felt this, ugh, like, this heavy feeling, and it stayed with me the whole weekend. I think I still had fun. I saw, like, some friends and then went snowboarding, but that kind of, like, heaviness, it was an immediate shift, and even my voice changed. Like, my voice started being more like, "Oh, and then we just have to," like, it was more flat, more, like, monotoned. It was very interesting. So, I'm not ready to go back to Vail for, I think eventually I can unhook that energetic source. I'm very lucky in that I have some friends who live in Japan, and it actually is cheaper to just fly to Japan than figure out places to stay in Vail, which is so expensive.
Here's my challenge for you if you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
My challenge is I think you should write about that block of period of your life, that veil book,
Mhm.
and process and figure out what kind of artistic storytelling you can pull out of that because I feel like there's a lot of juice in there, a lot of sauce in there you can pull out of it. And maybe going back there and write about it and invert that experience to see what you can convert it, transform it into because it's a big block period of your life that you have
It
this
is.
feeling about. Hmm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, what
Mm.
what would be the most interesting point as a reader?
The reader, here's my okay. I like the question. So inside of the places that cost us the most to collect, has the most price to pay to other people. So what I mean is, I went through a period of my life where it was so hard. And while I was in it, I had no idea what was going through. Like, why is this? Why all these things? Right? These things doesn't make sense. I can't really map them out, make sense of them. But because I was in them. But now that I got the hindsight 2020, and I'm a grown up person now, and I have a whole lot of skills and tools, life gave me this big treasure trove. I collected it inexperiencedly. I collected it, but now I'm experienced now. And can I take that thing with the skills I have today and go back and get meaning, make some meaning, different meaning from it? And that is a powerful part of your life.
Mm.
Is taking that, make meaning from it, because you're a grown up person. You're educated. You got skills. You got no tools. Back then you didn't have the tool, but you've got the tools now. But what will you do with that experience now with the tools you have today? And that is what people are like. Oh my God, how do you flip that? How do you make meaning of that, Alana? And now you have a system of how you did it. That
Mm.
becomes your new signature.
So it's kind of like you're saying process it
Mhm.
and share the lessons with others.
Yes, mom.
Ah, oh gosh. Um, yes, yes. Yeah. And I think
Mm.
that's what I've been trying to start doing on a smaller scale just with like my monthly newsletter and
Mm-hmm.
my social media posts and sharing a little bit more of my story.
Mm. Here's the other part of it too, because maybe some of that stuff it's like a boulder, right? It's not a pebble. You want to make it a pebble. That's a goal. But it's heavy. But now when you go back there and you start pulling it apart. Now when you find an experience like something you want to talk about in your new practice now, like, you know what? One that story that I experienced, I think it's gonna be a good justification for this. But now I gotta transform that story though. Because it's not transformed, it's a boulder. It's a boulder, it's too heavy. Nobody wanna carry it, not even yourself. That's why you parked it. But you make it a pebble, they're like, Alana, how do you do that? I want to do that with my own boulder too. And that becomes how you start creating your system. And with that,
Mm.
my friend, we can wrap up with my last few questions here. My little game I got. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Unless you got other thoughts about what I just said just now.
Mm, with the boulder, I guess I will say through the coaching and
Mm-hmm.
through like somatic work and really getting in tune with your body, that's another way, you can kind of take your boulder and make it smaller. And there's an exercise that, like been guided through it and now learned how to guide other people. But you're taking something, you're kind of shaping it with your hands, like whatever your issue is. So let's say it's like this whole veil situation. I'm shaping it with my hands. And as you're being guided through the the process, it's kind of like a meditation. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
people take that big thing and then it's like a little ball and then they just
Mm-hmm.
throw it over there.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it becomes like a squishy, someone had one that it became a squishy peep, you know? And it was like
Mm-hmm.
more malleable than they thought. And so your area of expertise is like storytelling and writing the books. And yeah, that just made me think of another way that I help
Mm-hmm.
people move their boulders, transform their boulders. Yeah,
We all want a pebble we can put in our pockets.
exactly. Or throw it over there.
Or throw it over there. I can toss it. No, yeah. Okay. Wrap up questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. First one here. Oops, oops, oops. Let me get my screen right. A TV show or film you keep coming back to lately. Tell me about that.
I've kind of stopped watching TV. Um,
Okay.
and I don't watch a lot of movies, so that feels boring. I know.
Okay.
Oh, I did though. I did watch a movie on YouTube though that another coach friend sent to me, and it was like the Wayne Dyer movie. It's free on
Mm,
YouTube. I can't remember what it's called, but it was
mm.
nice. It was about
It was
because
that.
I like a lot of Wayne Dyer's quotes, so
Me too.
that was a good film.
It's one of the few person when early when I started my new transformation life. I used to listen to a lot of his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, 3 books you would recommend to a friend.
The Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one. The Big Leap, which is by Gay Hendricks,
Mm-hmm.
who I've been talking about. And the third one, honestly, it's probably Conscious Luck. I'm gonna recommend that for you specifically because I wanna know what you think about it.
Okay, conscious luck. I'll add it to my list. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh huh. What about a
Yeah.
product or tool? that's been a game changer for you lately?
Product or tool? Journaling. I've been writing the morning pages. I only read the first couple chapters of The Artist's Way, but one of the concepts is the morning pages, and you write like 3 pages stream of consciousness. So I'd say
Mhm.
that's a tool, not a technology tool, which is I'm sure how you were thinking of it.
Nope,
Um,
nope, whatever works for you. Whatever
okay.
works for you.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, writing the 3 pages, stream of consciousness, that journaling tool.
My last question. A community you've been finding a lot of value in lately?
I'm gonna shout out my friends from in LA because we have, like, this 12-person group chat, and it's really cute. We all share updates. Sometimes people will just check in like, "Hey, how's everyone's Monday going? How's the week going?" And we'll do a bunch of stuff together. We all met through Soul Cycle, but it's not
Mm,
your typical Soul Cycle. It's, like, Black community, diverse Soul Cycle. We work out together, we celebrate together. We celebrate everyone's birthdays, different like work accomplishments. And so there's just a lot of like lifting each other up and supporting each other and cheering each other on. And that's been really cool to be part of this like bigger group of people and navigate through, yeah, just being part of like a friend group and what that means to show up and then also to be supported in that way is really cool.
Alana, thank you so much for showing up today, my friend, and sharing your wisdom. You got a lot of wisdom to share, so you know that.
Thank you,
And your
Asher.
story is powerful. And I think you're adding value to the world based on your new passion, the things you're focused on right now as you continue to focus on that. Any last thoughts? What are your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
I've enjoyed our conversation. I always love talking with you, Asher. So it's a
Mm.
great to reconnect and thank you for giving me the space to share my story a bit more and asking questions that really got me thinking.
All right. The lady like to think, but she rather feel.
We'll do both. Both are good.
All right. All right. With that, make it a utterly, utterly fantastic week.